Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make apple butter and walnut bread, or apple sauce and walnut loaf cake basically. So this is going to be in a loaf tin, and I'm using apple butter, which is thickened apples which I have spiced, and I made that a few weeks ago. But apple sauce works just as well, so you can make apple sauce, or you can even buy a jar of apple sauce, preferably unsweetened if possible, but you can buy that and use that. It's actually a simple recipe, as most of these quick breads or loaf cakes tend to be. Mix the ingredients together, wet ingredients, mix the dry ingredients together, put them together, put them in a tin and bake it basically. So I just want to explain that in the recipe and the ingredients I'm going to detail amounts of spice that you can use. Now if you're using apple sauce, then this spice is more important. If you're using apple butter, which when you make it you tend to spice anyway, or if you buy it, it tends to be spiced, so you can vary the amount of the spices to suit your palate basically. Maybe taste your apple butter and see how spicy it is and how much more you want to add into your loaf. So the first thing to do is to preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius, that's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and you need to line a 2-pound loaf tin, 900 gram loaf tin, with parchment paper, so grease it and line it. Now this is 9 inches by 5 inches, so 23 centimeters by 10 centimeters basically, and that is what you need. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for this loaf cake or quick bread, I have 180 grams, which is 1 cup plus 3 tablespoons, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of plain flour. I have 200 grams, 1 cup of caster sugar. Granulated sugar would be okay. Even brown sugar, if you want that extra sort of slight molasses flavour that the brown sugar can give, you can use that. I have 55 grams, half a cup of walnuts, which I've chopped into, roughly chopped basically, into pieces. I have 45 grams, half a cup of rolled oats. You could use quick oats if you wanted to. I have 2 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA. 7.5 milliliters, which is 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I have 120 milliliters, half a cup of vegetable oil, and I have here 190 grams, 3/4 of a cup of my apple butter. As you can see, this is a nice thick butter, and basically apple butter is apples which are cooked down with spices and with some sugar. There's no butter in it, of course. They're cooked down until they look like this basically, and very, very tasty. But if you don't have that, as I said, apple sauce will work just fine. I have half a teaspoon, which is 3 grams, 2.5 to 3 grams of baking soda. I have 1.5 grams, 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, 3 grams, half a teaspoon of salt. And then for the spices, I have here 3 grams, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I have 1.5 grams, half a teaspoon of ground allspice, and I have let's say about a gram, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Now you can use that amount, you can use slightly more, you can use slightly less, it's entirely up to you, but I'm actually going to use just about that amount. So the first thing to do is to mix our wet ingredients together. all except the apple butter. And so I'm going to put my oil and my vanilla and my eggs into a bowl like that, and then I'm going to add the sugar in as well, because that's classed as a wet ingredient, and I'm simply going to whisk those to get them fully combined, and the sugar will dissolve. And that's good like that. So I'm just going to set that aside, and I'm going to pour my spices and my baking powder and salt into the flour, and I'm going to give that a mix around just to get that combined a little bit. And that's good. And then I'm going to add that into wet mixture, and I'm going to mix that, and I'm going to use a spatula until the flour is all mixed in. And that's mixed quite nicely. So I'm going to add in my chopped walnuts and my oats and my apple butter or apple sauce. And I'm going to mix those until they're fully combined as well. So that's got everything mixed together, and I'm simply going to put that into my prepared loaf tin. And I'm just going to level it off like that, and then I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it for between 55 and 60 minutes. It should rise up, it will cook right the way through, and I'll test it with a skewer, and if the skewer comes out clean, I'll take it out of the oven, and then I'm going to leave it in the tin for at least 15 to 20 minutes before I take it out, and then I'll put it onto a wire rack and cool it completely, and once it's cooled I'll come back and show you the results and we'll have a taste. I baked the apple butter and walnut bread, or the apple sauce and walnut loaf cake, for 60 minutes. I did test it after 55 minutes with a skewer, and it was a little bit moist and some crumbs were sticking to the skewer, so I left it in for an additional 5 minutes, and after 60 minutes the skewer came out clean. So I took it out and I've allowed it to cool down, and I've cut a couple of slices. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's baked up quite nicely, and I'll have a taste of a piece. I'll just break a piece off. Lovely and soft, and you get the bite from the walnut and a little bit of tartness from the apple as well, and the spices. So it's actually very, very good indeed. And this could be served just in slices like this, or spread with some butter, or even used as a dessert if you wanted to, with some custard or something like that. Or I have some toffee sauce, maybe some toffee sauce. So very easy to make, doesn't take too long either. That's going to be it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.